Good morning, children. How are we all doing? Yes, I have just finished watching episode 10 of Smallville, titled Luthor. It is episode 10, or was it episode 9? I believe it was episode 9. Anyway, who cares? This episode rocked. It rocked awesomely well because it was an alternative universe. Clark finds a mirror box that was conveniently, and I like to use that word, use that term loosely, conveniently given to Tess now that she is a Luthor, being the heir of the Luthor dynasty, as I'd like to call it. Clark finds this mirror box that, once activated, sends him to a parallel universe where there's an evil version of himself who is also, they both pretty much swap Earths, basically. So we're introduced to Ultraman, who is like the evil version of Superman. Think Superman as a cold-blooded killer. Think Lex Luthor as with superpowers. That's what Ultraman is like. It really was amazing. John Glover returns, and I'll tell you what, he was on top form. Absolutely amazing. I'm so glad he's back. He was on top form. What can I say about this episode? Well, I'm going to go to... There was only 3 bad points in this episode. The first one was, as I said, the conveniently placed mirror box. Where the hell has that been? Where did it... Where? How long has it been hiding? How long has Luthor had it with him? Why now has it only turned up? Again, that's just Smallville. When Clark Kent is in the other Earth, he's talking to Lois Lane of that Earth, and there's that Clois moment, because on this version of the Earth it's Lois and Oliver who are together and engaged. Said word, engaged again. So our Clark is telling Lois that he is not Ultraman. Everybody calls him Ultraman, by the way. Everybody knows who Ultraman is. Everybody knows that when they see Ultraman, that's the last time that they see his face. They don't live to tell the tale about Ultraman. So there he is telling Lois that he is not who she thinks he is, this, that and the other. He does the same with Oliver. But the best thing that I loved about this was his relationship with Tess. Okay, it was almost Lana-esque in some ways, and I say Lana-esque because when he arrives in this version of the Earth, he after he's talking to Lionel, and Lionel gives him a bit of a fencing lesson, which was not too bad, by the way. The fencing swords are tipped with blue kryptonite. Yeah, that was interesting. Clark goes to the farm, to the Kent farm. Obviously Jonathan and Martha are not there. Well, I say obviously, but I'm sure we know that there's reason as to why they're not there. Lex is not present. I'm going to get to that very soon, by the way. As I say, the whole Lana-esque bit was that Tess was waiting for Clark at the barn, and I'm thinking, okay, imagine replacing Tess with Lana. Imagine if Lana was a bit of a bad girl. That's what I kept thinking. I know shouldn't have thought that, but that's what I kept thinking. I kept thinking, what if it was Lana as opposed to Tess? But I think it worked even better that it was Tess, now that we know that she's a Luthor. Even now, Clark now knows that she is a Luthor, and he finds out by going back to Cadmus Labs, asking her to come back to Cadmus Labs, and there they are. He then finds out that she has been keeping Alexander secret. Not just keeping Alexander secret, but now that he knows that she is a Luthor, it's kind of sort of made sense for him. But at the same time, at first he started thinking, well, hey, me and Oliver, we brought you into the team, we trusted you, and this is how you thank us, this is how you repay us, kind of thing. And it's when he notices the mirror box, activates it, he goes to the other Earth, the other Clark comes to this Earth, and I tell you what, my God, wow. Do you know what I loved as well? I said that there were 3 bad points. The third bad point was the kryptonite. Okay, we all remember how kryptonite has worked so far in season 10. It's either it completely weakens Clark to the point of where he's writhing on the floor in pain, or he's just winces a little and then suddenly he's able to use his powers with kryptonite still around him. Okay, figure that one out. Anyway, so those are the bad points, but the really good points. Okay, let me first of all say this, right, that this was Kelly Souders' directorial debut, and it was fantastic. It was also written by Brian Q. Miller, who writes the Batgirl comics, and he is works for DC as well. But again, you've got that comic element in there, especially with Ultraman being in there, being raised by Lionel Luthor. And the best thing that I loved of what John Glover said, what Lionel Luthor said, what would have happened if I had not found you abandoned when you first arrived on Earth? What would have happened if you'd have been picked up by some second-rate farmer? Who would you have turned out to be then? And I just thought, damn, have you been watching Smallville for the past 10 years or something, John? I thought this episode is rocking. It was just rocking. Now, I actually did feel like at times I was reading a comic book, and the tone was so dark for the parallel universe as well. It was really well shot. That everything was brilliantly done, and I loved how the camera changed from when Clark approaches someone stealing something, and then it goes from that version of Metropolis to the version that we're used to, and then it flips everything upside down again. Oh my god, wow! I've said that I won't be getting excited before an episode airs. I like people keep asking me, what are your thoughts on this episode? What do you think is going to happen? And I'm like, you're just gonna have to wait till you see my review, because only then will I be able to express whether I was happy about it or whether I was bitter about it, or if my emotions were mixed. And I have to say, right now, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good. I still can't get over just how awesome John Glover was, and how awesome Tom Welling was as the evil Clark Luthor. Now, what I've got to say is what would have made this episode really spectacular? What would have made this episode really spectacular is if Michael Rosenbaum was present as Lex Luthor in the alternate universe. That would have been the icing on the cake. I say that because if Tess Mercer wasn't around, it would have been Lex in her place. You would have had Lex, Clark and Lionel all in one shot as a family. That would have been immensely epic. Come on, agree with me and tell me that would not have been epic, because I just kept sitting here and I just kept looking and watching, and I just kept thinking, Michael Rosenbaum should have been in this episode. This was his episode. Not just Tom Welling's, not just John Glover's, but it should have also been Michael Rosenbaum's. I'm sorry, but if they were to bring back, if they were to bring him back, this should have been the episode that he should have come back in. It would have made this episode 10 times more epic than what it was, what I've just watched. I feel that Michael Rosenbaum should have made some sort of appearance, because there were hints of Lex Luthor. The fact that Lionel forces or makes Clark kill Lex. We find out that Clark kills Virgil Swan. The Veritas, Oliver Queen has been keeping tabs on Clark Luthor. Lionel Luthor has actually been keeping tabs on Clark as well. And what was interesting is that when Clark goes to the fortress, there he is saying, I know, Jor-El, I know you and I have never been on the best of terms. But then what do you notice? There's Lionel, and there's like other bits and pieces of technological stuff around. It did actually look like a bit of a disco, to be honest, with the flashing lights going around. Yeah, I thought that was a bit tacky. But how awesome was it that Lionel is telling Clark Kent that we're trying to eradicate all traces of anything to do with your Kryptonian heritage, including Jor-El. And I thought, damn, this is just brilliant. But yeah, like I said, the comic elements were there. Tess, obviously, as a Luthor, we know where the direction that she's going in now. Obviously, she has a little heart-to-heart with Clark when he eventually comes back. Then when he comes back, you've got Oliver, Lois and Tess. Obviously they were taking on the evil version of Clark, and he's actually been stamped by Lionel on his arm with the L symbol, and he basically says that's what gold kryptonite does to you. And I'm thinking, wow, so we've already used gold kryptonite. But will we see gold kryptonite? I don't know. I would love to see gold kryptonite on Smallville. That would be awesome. So yeah, there's the first mention of gold kryptonite. But damn, really? Oh dear, man. As I say, the only 3 bad points: the conveniently placed mirror box, Clark talking to alternate universe Lois as if they were lovers, and then obviously the kryptonite situation again. But everything else was awesome. But the best bit, really best bit, the end scene. If you have not watched it, you have to see what I'm talking about. If you have watched it, keep that to yourself. If you want to talk to me about it, you can either mention it on Twitter or send me a message on YouTube. Don't reveal it in the comments, because that end scene just gave me the biggest smile in the world. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. But as I've said already, this episode would have been 10 times more epic if Michael Rosenbaum had been present. This should have been his, not just John Glover's, but it should have been Michael's as well. I think it should have been. So, wow. So next week's episode, I'm looking forward to it for one reason, is that we have Hawkman, Black Canary, they're both back, but there is a certain Clois moment that I'm really not looking forward to, and there are a lot of us who are not really happy that if that turns out to be the cliffhanger for the mid-season, yeah, we're not going to be a bunch of happy fans. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm going to leave it there, children. I'm going to say thank you for watching. Luthor certainly delivered. Kelly Souders, well done in your directorial debut, and well done to Brian Q. Miller for the script as well. Well done, beautifully shot, well written. Hats off. That's what I'm going to say. Hats off. Good night and God bless. Later.